Welcome to Coffee with the Bishop. I'm here with
Jessica St. Clair Smith. Hi, everybody.
and we are here to do some updates about what's going on around the diocese and to spend a little time around the Percolator.
The Percolator.
She named it the Percolator. I would never drink from a percolator unless I was camping. I want to call it the mocha pot. And today what I'm having is a delicious coffee from Intelligentsia called El Diablo. And like the eggs, I don't love his work, but I do love his coffee. And
Okay.
the mocha pot is the great sort of European way of making coffee. And I'll leave you to go find that online, but we'll probably post a picture somewhere.
I feel like we could do that.
But my affection for percolators, of course, comes from childhood and early church's experience before I was in charge enough to bring my own. You can make really good, strong coffee with a percolator, as any cowboy knows.
Yes.
And you can leave it on there just long enough for it to become the trumpet sound of the end of the world because it blew your nervous system out. Which many of us have also experienced doing church work. But we have a lot of stuff going on. We have a couple of personnel changes we just thought we would update our podcast listeners about. One of them is goes all the way back to November when the Venerable Janey Wilson was no longer venerable. She became Canon Janey Wilson. She has served as archdeacon, but we wanted to take that title back from sort of transition and congregational health, where it actually resided because of the way that our bylaws and canons here in the diocese were written, and give that to a deacon. And so the deacons of the diocese, with me, elected the now Venerable Mary Jeffers as our archdeacon for the Diocese of Upper South Carolina.
Very, very exciting. And just to give you guys a sneak peek, we'll be talking to her. So she's going to get her own time of coffee with the bishop. We're going to sit down for a cup with the Venerable Mary Jeffers. And we're going to ask questions because if you're like me, I know what a deacon is, but maybe I don't know everything a deacon does. And how is a deacon different from a priest? And also, what's an archdeacon? And how does, so we're going to sit down and we're going to have a good conversation with her so she can talk about the ministry of the diaconate and other things.
And it is different than in England. If you ever watch the Rev, the archdeacon is the meanie who comes by and sort of steers you out of political trouble or gets after you when you get into it. And
it's the same in Grantchester. Yeah.
Yeah, that is not her job. So you're going to hear more from her. She's fantastic. The election was unanimous. And I'll tell you my favorite thing about Mary Jeffers outside of her personality, family, and love of Christ. And support of the poor and love for all. I mean, you'll get it.
She's multifaceted. We know.
And awesome. But my favorite thing is every Sunday when I'm out visiting, almost every Sunday, there's some rare exceptions, but there's a deacon who meets me, and we have a rotating list, a rota of deacons who meet me on Sunday mornings, and they'll help me get my stuff out of the car, and they become the sort of chaplain to the bishop on the visit, and they make sure that I have what I need. But also Mary Jeffers will go and meet with the congregation ahead of time and sort of go through the service with them. But my favorite thing about her is during visits, for the last 4 years, when we would be any random place in the northern end of the diocese, she would be telling local priests and lay people about ministries to the homeless in their area. When she was 5 counties over in Anderson, it's like she's absorbed some giant asset map for outreach ministry. And it's just amazing.
The Mary Jeffers asset map. I love it.
And she's just an incredible resource for our diocese and such a great example of the ministry of deacons. And you're going to get to hear from her later, but very excited about that. Very excited that Janey Wilson is still staying with us, seeing us through as we search for and are interviewing a new transition officer for the diocese, which was part of her work. And her focus now turning to congregational health. And at the same time, she's splitting her job so that half time she's helping us cover interim positions, beginning with Resurrection in Greenwood, where she's off to a great start. It's a great congregation.
Oh, yeah.
And watch for that profile to get posted. It really is a fantastic congregation and in a wonderful place to live. But
Shout out to Resurrection.
big fan, actually, of the Resurrection in this Easter season.
Yeah.
And she's and so it's great to have Janie there. It's also great that she's still in the office and working with us on some things, both finishing up transitions, but also on congregational health. And speaking of congregational health, we just had our first learning lab. Late in the game, I started calling this in my head the Episcopal operating system. So when we were coming through our first few years, one of the things that I constantly ran into was during COVID, it was like some basic functions of community life just got dropped.
Or forgotten or something like that. Yeah.
Or faded even.
Faded. That was it.
It was like a hard drive dump happened during COVID. And as we sort of put the pieces back together, wanting to sort of be able to articulate for congregations, this is what the correct way of doing this looks like, so that people could get their stuff back together sort of logically and clearly. And there are sometimes other ways to do things than the Episcopal way. Of course, those ways are always wrong.
I mean,
we are the best.
Hello.
But we wanted to do that in a way that was not just corrective, but was preventative. And so I've been working on this plan to sort of showcase what is the sort of normal Episcopal way of doing things for congregations. And we just had our first workshop, actually, while I was still in Ecuador, because the team is amazing.
It was April 25th.
And
sorry.
No, keep going.
I was just going to say it was for administration and finance. And there was a great group of people in the room, and we had a wonderful facilitator. Do you want to tell us who it was?
Shanda Kelly, CFO of the diocese.
Amazing.
She has a background in church finance software, came to us and has been just a rock star as CFO. She not only oversees our budget, but also diocesan budgeting process. And because of her background with ACS, she's deeply familiar with the way that congregations should be doing their financial reporting, both in-house and to the diocese, so that we have accountability. And so she knows gap reporting. She's absolutely brilliant. And then the administration side also included Canon Stephen Rhodes.
That's
Canon
right.
to the Ordinary. And they just kind of went through what are the basic functions of administration and finance, and it was great. So things like discretionary accounts and how they should be managed, and when is your audit due?
Yeah, and some of that, some of our congregations have people who have a background in that, and then some of our congregations have volunteers who are helping with those things. And so some of the Learning Lab is for people who maybe they've just started this, or they're a volunteer, or they want to know more. And so, this is an opportunity for those people to come and learn the way other congregations are doing it, or, the way that we might recommend for them to do it. And so they learn something new, and hopefully we're instilling them with a confidence to continue to do ministry well.
And the beautiful thing about seeing it as an Episcopal operating system and doing this in a learning lab setup is that you do get to hear not just from the staff about sort of the normative ways that we do it, but also you get to hear from other people who are implementing it, so that there are questions and perspectives and ways of sort of talking through things, that it becomes an opportunity to grow as a diocese and to get to do the work in a way that makes sense, so that other people from other congregations can see the work that you do. It's just really great. And it says everything to me that while I'm out of the country, the work here in the diocese still moves forward at a pace. I'm very proud of our folks, and particularly Shanda Kelly and the work done around finance, the transparency, the consistency, the ability of our diocese to be fair and just with our money means that we can have the trust to then go out and do the work without having to look over our shoulder. And folks in the diocese can know that we're we're handling what they give in a way that is honorable to them as the giver and also to God who oversees all of us. And so feel very proud of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you don't know, we're going to have, I think it's 8 more sessions, but we're going to cover things like communications for congregations, safety and security, music in congregations. Let's see, acolytes, vergers, and LEVs. And
That's lay Eucharistic visitors, not lighted electrical vehicles, which would also make sense, but is not related.
No, not in
service.
this.
Yeah.
Not in this instance. And we're also going to have a big in the new year in 2027. I know it's a long way away, but it's not that far away. We're going to have a big formation learning lab, and that's going to be really great. So check our website. Look in the description of the podcast. I'll go ahead and just relink it. All sessions are open now for registration. Register now. Get your spot. Lunch is included, and come and learn the Episcopal operating system.
And we started these at Trinity Cathedral because it's a cathedral, but also because they offered. This is an opportunity for us to be together here in the center of the diocese and move outward from there. And there will be operating system learning labs going on around the diocese as we move into the years ahead, just as we work together to do this in a way that builds transparency, trust, and the opportunity to learn together. It's a beautiful thing.
Boom.
So
right
now we are in the midst of the second quarter of 2026. Let me check my watch. That's right, we are.
That's right.
And we are in the second quarter doing the bishop reads on the Rule of St. Benedict. In particular, I've made the recommendation, I hope that you are following it, to pick up a copy of A Spirituality for the 21st Century. It's the Rule of St. Benedict commentary by Joan Chittister, Sister Joan Chittister, from the Order of St. Benedict. She's a Benedictine sister in Erie, Pennsylvania. She has written, I think 80 books by this point.
I was shocked when I Googled her. I was like, oh, okay.
And you feel like, how do I not know her?
Right, exactly. Go ahead, sister. Get it done.
Yeah, that having a really ordered day with structured times of work and prayer probably makes you more consistent as an author.
You would assume so.
So as we turn to Joan Chittister and the Rule of St. Benedict, I have a quote. The rule is broken up into daily readings for quarters of the year. And the reading from January 15th or May 16th or September 15th from chapter 2, The Qualities of the Abbot or Prioress. The quote from the rule goes, "Above all, they must not show too great a concern for the fleeting and temporal things of this world, neglecting or treating lightly the welfare of those entrusted to them. Rather, they should keep in mind that they have undertaken the care of souls for whom they must give an account. That they may not plead lack of resources as an excuse, they are to remember what is written, quote, 'Seek first the reign and justice of God, and all these things will be given you as well,' from Matthew 6:33. And again, 'Those who reverence the Holy One lack nothing,' from Psalm 34:10. And the quote from Joan about this is, a monastery does not have to be wealthy. Benedict implies a monastery does not have to be large. A monastery does not have to be popular. What a monastery must be, without doubt and without fail, is holy. The role of the abbot or prioress, therefore, is not to concentrate on the physical development of the community, on the fleeting and temporal things of this world. The role of the abbot or prioress is to direct their energies to bringing the community to the white heat of the spiritual life, after which no challenge is too great and no effort is too much, because we know for certain that, quote, 'Those who reverence the Holy One lack nothing.'" I was given a copy of this book and this commentary by Bishop Robert Geppert back when I went to Western Michigan, now no longer the Diocese of Western Michigan, but part of the Great Lakes.
That's right.
And when he gave me the book, it was because he was working with the spiritual director and seeing this as sort of a guide for him to be bishop. And he had a massive influence on how I see my role. But it also works as we think about how to be in religious communities of whatever size. And this quote in particular grounds us in the work, in that oftentimes we can focus on the outward success. Just like I can focus on my physical health, my physical shape, my great hair, which is not all that great. I just watched a YouTube video of a sermon I gave and worried about my own health. It was after travel. I'm going to use that as an excuse. But the point that she makes here along working with Benedict is that our purpose is to be holy, to be a holy community, to be focused on the growth in the spiritual life, the reverence and worship of God, the formation as a people of faith, the hospitality that we extend in the name of Christ to others. And for me, this quote in particular has sort of lived with me as we make decisions about who we are and what we're going to do now and what we're going to do next. It is a focus of the spiritual life of a diocese, of a congregation, of a family. And I know holiness is not a word that we often think much about now because we are people who have other priorities, and we see holiness as in the same vein as self-righteousness, rather than as a sort of purity of life and intention that allows us to be with others in love without needing anything from them, without clinging to them or wanting wealth from them or wanting them to make them popular, or wanting them to make us successful, but just wanting to be able to love with the fire of the Holy Spirit and without needing anything, because everything will be given to us by God when we do that work of being the holy people we were created to be. And so in the rule then, she's going to talk about humility. He's going to talk about practical things in terms of running the community. And that too, when we talk about what it is to be holy, having the practical parts of your life working well so that you don't have to be worried, you don't have to cling, you don't have to struggle as much as one can do that in this life, right?
Yeah.
It is one of the great sort of introductions to how to sort of prioritize and organize the spiritual life in a way that gives life and vitality to those around us. And most people know that the vows of being monastic are poverty, chastity, and obedience.
Obedience. Okay.
I love obedience.
I did not take the vows clearly.
Well,
I could not remember them. I was like, what is it?
But the actual vows in Benedict are poverty as part of it, but it's obedience, stability, and transformation of life. Obedience, not just blind obedience, but obedience to the one who embodies for the community the rule of the rule. In this case, the rule of St. Benedict. And so a leader has to not just, a leader is not separate from the rules. A leader has to embody the rules. If you want to see a holy community, you have to be a holy leader. And I've been trying for 20 years. And I think that there's a beauty to that often gets missed in a culture where, like the history of the world, in a worldly sense, we often have leaders that then we expect to not follow the rules, or we exempt them from basic human decency or fidelity to their marriage, or we would say don't strike back at your enemies, but then we accept it when our leaders do that, and we do that out of a sort of heroism that opens a door to immorality. And what the rule asks us to do is anyone who's a leader, anyone that we're going to hold up as a leader, should be able to embody the whole of the rule. That's what makes an abbot or prioress fit for the role. And so to be able to hold and live by the rule in order that other people will be called to live by it, that's the essence of obedience. And so even when you're at the very top, and abbots in monasteries were like the voice of God in many ways, that they could be unelected for not following the rule. And so it's that everyone is obedient to something, even if it is your own worst impulses, in which case you probably should be in the role.
Yeah.
And then stability, not going about from place to place, but letting yourself be formed in a community. You have to work out the rough edges, not running off to somewhere new every time it gets difficult, because it will be easier if I just go somewhere else. And I have this, years ago, I had a priest in Hawaii who was trying to convince me to take over his congregation when he retired. He had been there for 28 years. And
wow.
I was really tempted because it's
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Hello.
And I was there when the weather was perfect, and he had a fabulous congregation. And not many people can stay somewhere that long and be healthy. And so I just picked his brain for days about how he'd done it. And what he told me was every 3 years, he would have to change something about his leadership style. And every 7 years, he would go away for a sabbatical and change something about himself. So he was a manager. He focused on outcomes at the beginning, and then later he focused on sort of how the relationships in the church really worked rather than focusing on outcomes. And then he went away and then came back and realized, I can't be a manager. I've got to be a better pastor. So he grew as a person and really focused on kind of loving the community, developing the whole community. And then after 7 years, he had to go through that sort of personal transformation again. So he stayed in one place, but embodying both of those second vows, like to be able to be stable, to stay somewhere for a long time, to stay in relationships for a long time, something we as a culture are getting worse at.
Oh, every day.
But also to be in transformatio, to be in ongoing transformation so that I continue to grow, I continue to pay attention, I continue to... And so like in my marriage, just like in communities or in a family, like it would be easier sometimes to just ditch and run because you have to face your own shortcomings. You have to face your own inability to do whatever is necessary.
Oh, yeah.
But when you stay and allow yourself to be transformed, when you stay and allow yourself to be in that process of ongoing work of the Spirit, never thinking that you've got everything done. And in a regular rule of, like in the rule, that day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, the rule is the same. That outward structure is the same, just like our liturgy. But that stability allows us to grow in our relationship to each other, relationship to God, our relationship even to the rule, to the pattern of worship that forms us and shapes us. I don't pray the way that I prayed 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Even though I'm saying the same prayers, even though when I rise in the morning, the daily office begins the same. Even though when I get up in the pulpit on Sunday morning, I'm preaching on the text I preached on 18 years ago in this cycle. The sermons I preach, the life I live, the prayers I pray, they continue to be transformed by the grace of God and frankly, by the grace of my wife and the people around me who've been there slowly but surely knocking the hard corners off.
Communities do help with that.
Yeah. So the chapters in the book are 4 to 5 pages apiece. The daily reflections are often less than a full page. Some of them get as long as 2 to 3 pages. It's a really great way to enter into the rule and to spend some time. My hope is that you will do what we've been recommending, which is have a swim buddy and a boat crew. Swim buddy is that one person that you go through life with, is your ride or die, carry you up the mountain, drag you out of God and fire. That's the person, somebody that you can be close enough to that you can tell your deepest, darkest stuff to, and they're still going to be there. And when you think you can avoid your deepest, darkest stuff, they'll be the one to go, hey, remember that thing that you acknowledged? This is the time we do that work.
Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah, you need your swim buddy. And if you don't have one, come see me sometime. We'll talk about what it takes to grow one, learning how to be an adult in relationship and talk to another man, another woman about your deepest, darkest, hardest stuff, and also just to pray with. I mean, I always tell the story when I was doing premarital counseling that I used to tell couples that my wife and I got married. I was the professional Christian. She asked me to pray with her, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And she said, now? And I was like, oh, yeah, I meant later when I'm doing my private prayer time. And she's like, well, what if you did it now? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And so then I held her hand and I went into my quiet interior space and I was quietly praying. And she goes, are you gonna pray? And I was like, I am praying. And she's like, are you going to pray out loud so that maybe I could pray with you? And I was like, oh, yeah, like totally, of course. Like, I don't know what I'm thinking over here.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, I just want to reiterate, I was already many years into working in the church, and I was a professional Christian and ordained priest of the church, and I still a little bit hard to pray in front of my wife, that privately, personally.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can definitely imagine. One of my greatest fears is to be asked to pray in front of a group of people. So, and that's not even in front of my most, you know, like intimate partner who's my husband. You know, sometimes when we pray together, I'm like, oh, this is good. It's good. But yeah, it can be very intense.
Yeah. And so I would make couples pray with each other, but with a swim buddy, like one of the things I would just encourage you to do is read a little scripture and talk about it, talk about your hard stuff, but also pray together and pray for the other person when they say, hey, my back hurts, my marriage hurts,
My marriage hurts,
my kids are crazy, whatever it is, or I'm a terrible parent, to just be willing to pray with them, bless them, but also pray with them, pray for them right then in the moment. You don't have to have the right words. You don't have to be eloquent. You just have to do it. And that relationship where you can talk about the rule of St. Benedict together to enter into this kind of spiritual life with another person, I think is one of those keys. As you mature in the faith, like you're no longer going to get what you need out of just a service or just a small group or just reading another book. It really does take that sort of growth with another person. And then your boat crew then is a separate thing, but that's your I'm going to go no matter what group of friends that you go. If the six of us all agree and one of us gets called up to polish the brass for the altar guild or feed the hungry or chaperone the youth group or pick up the churchyard, like that's your six ministry people that you're going to go do the hard work with. And that, you know, in SEALs training where I stole this idea from, they're competitive. They compete with each other. And the boat crew is where you work out your leadership, but you also work out how to succeed, how to care for, how to carry each other. And that's where you see where selflessness is formed. And so I just encourage you as we go through the Bishop Reads together, you join us in reading the Rule of St. Benedict. Highly recommend Joan Chittister's version of it. And again, to find someone that you can do this work with, that you can live this life with. Not all of us are called to live in community in the religious order, but all of us are called to live in the body of Christ together. So just encourage you to be a part of what we're doing here in the diocese, and I want to thank you for being along the way with us.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Coffee with the Bishop is recorded at the George Alexander Diocesan House in Columbia, South Carolina. It is produced by the Episcopal Diocese of Upper South Carolina and edited by Jessica St. Clair Smith. Do you want to hear discussion about a particular topic? Have a question for our bishop? Do you and your study group have a disagreement about a matter of theology that needs settling? Send it to us at communications@edusc. Coffee with the Bishop is our twice-per-month podcast. We hope you'll also join us in 2026 as we read What the Bishop Reads, a new initiative to read good books and think deep thoughts together. Notes along the way, our bishop's personal written meditation to you is available by email each week. More information on both is available at our website, www.edusc.org.